How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is going to be a first, this format. We're basically just going to listen to a record for the first time and give our impressions on it right off the bat. No notes or anything. We're just going to listen to it and give our honest opinion after hearing it for the first time. In this case, Kanye West's Donda. It just dropped a few days ago as of the date we're recording this. As you may or may not know, we did Kanye West Worst to Best, which I actually, having watched back not that long ago, I think that's one of our better videos.
I would tend to agree.
I
I
think
think,
it's-
it was one where we really went really in depth
Yeah.
with all of it, and we liked the majority of what we heard.
And it was interesting. I feel like we gave a little information that wasn't just like, oh, I like this, I don't like that. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I would say going into this, I just hope it's better than Jesus is King, better than Life of Pablo, better than Yeezus. Like, I'm hoping it's better than at least his recent output. If they can get into like top 6 territory, then I think we're in really good shape. It's going to be over nearly 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So
It's long. There's two things I know about it. It's long, and he's basically just given up on album art.
and it's about his mother.
Yes, that too.
Donda West.
As you can see, we're coming to you from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, from one of his listening parties here. I'm just kidding.
Yes, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah, so I guess that's it. We'll just
Yeah, watch this really long time lapse now because we'll see you in 2 hours.
Jeez, yeah, okay. Well, it's pretty long, but it's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
it. Thanks for watching. Just kidding.
yeah, exactly. It's such a long record. It's near 2 hours, and that's way too damn long, especially considering the last two Yay and Jesus is King,
Yeah,
which were so damn short.
yeah, 20 minutes.
Right,
Flying a
they were
flash.
so short. 2 hours is is it too long for that record?
I tell you what, though, man, I don't know about you, but my initial summary of my experience with just listening to that just now was like, it took me a bit, but it won me over thoroughly by the end.
I liked it. It fell exactly where I had hoped it would fall, which is not quite 808s,
Mm.
but better than Life of Pablo, better than Ye or Ye, better than Jesus is King by a very long stretch, better than Yeezus. Like in my mind, it falls as his 6th best record.
Okay.
I liked it quite a bit. It's too long. Is there a lot to take away from it from an individual track standpoint? Probably not. But as a cohesive, singular piece, it's about his mother. It's about prison reform. It's about a lot of things that clearly matter to him. It's a very vulnerable record, and that's what I take away from it. It's him being human.
That's the thing, man. I couldn't agree more. It's such a cohesive piece. You know, there's no single that could really encapsulate the experience of listening to the whole record. And one thing I'll give Kanye, man, just listening to that, and obviously we listened to all his records for a previous video on this channel that I'll link in the description and at the end and stuff. But it's like, I don't ever doubt that he comes by his art honestly. You know, that does not feel even a bit like fake or calculated. You know, it's good because it's real. You know, it's
It felt like only shit that he cared about.
absolutely
Like it was a record of things that he himself was like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what means something to me.
yeah.
I'm going to talk about it.
It's pretty moving. I'll be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
although you call the record Donda, I feel like there was a lot of sections within it, like multiple 2, 3, 4 song sections, where the concept really wasn't at all about his mother.
His mother. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't. But it's hard to make a concept record about your mother that's nearly 2 hours long.
It's true, and maybe that's part of it. I mean, that was just an initial thought I had. I think we'll agree on this. The first third is the worst third.
I agree.
There's several tracks right up front, even though they're stylistically similar and the vibe is always pleasant. The production is beautiful across the whole thing. Should be. He's working with like 150
Right.
producers on this thing, all of which are very talented. But like Jail, God Breathed, Off the Grid, Hurricane, Praise God. I was like, we were 6 or 7 tracks in, and I was like, do I like this? You know, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I will say though, Off the Grid and Hurricane definitely have the most single strength.
true, true.
They are definitely the singles or the songs that would make the best singles.
And Jonah.
And Jonah.
Yeah.
But the last track, I would say from Donda on, especially when it hits to Pure Souls to the very end, Pure Souls to the very end, in my mind, was the strongest part of this entire record.
There was a lot of good stuff. Once you hit the title track, once you're over the hump and you're just invested, it just gets better and better.
Like
Even towards the
Jesus
end.
Lord, like the longest tracks on here, Jesus Lord and Pure Souls and Jesus Lord Part 2.
Yeah.
I would consider to be the best tracks on here, the most interesting tracks on here. The Larry Hoover parts were extremely interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it just felt very like vulnerable is the word I would use to describe this record.
Yeah.
It's vulnerable, it's human, it's imperfect. It is what Jesus is King and Jesus wanted to be. It's a little bit industrial, it's a little bit trap, it's a little bit of gospel, but it melds together super well to make a very, very good record. Again, is it too long? Absolutely.
It's kind of too long.
It's too long, but it's really good.
This is in many, many ways the record that Jesus is King should have been.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
Jesus is King could, if you told me, like if we listened to this and I had not heard Jesus is King and you played that one for me, I'm like, oh, so this is like leftovers and B-sides and stuff that was going to go on this that he ultimately cut. I would 100% believe you.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what this feels like, is he's taken the gospel influence and integrating it into a much more cohesive, sort of vaguely conceptual, but very enjoyable overall record, whereas Jesus is King was just
Trash.
a flash in the pan kind
It
of.
wasn't very good. I mean,
felt-
it felt very heavy-handed.
It was half-assed.
Right.
Yeah, it was like 20-something minutes of like, there's some good ideas in there, but they're like a minute long.
Right.
Now, the other thing is, how do you feel about, so basically the last half hour of this record is various reworks and retoolings of songs that happened earlier on the record.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
It doesn't bother me because the beats were good. It was, look, as we've said before, if it's a Kanye record, it will be well produced. That's a given. It's
And
like
it was.
Babe Ruth hits home runs. Tom Brady wins championships. Kanye West produces quality records.
Yeah.
That's a fact. The production will always be good. But the last part, it felt like it was even more well produced. It felt even more personal.
Yeah.
Albums this long usually die out around the first half in, and they just get bloated and terrible. The bottom half hit a second wind that I feel like carried through and overtook the first wind very easily.
Absolutely. I tend to agree. This is like a second wind is a great way to describe this record. You get, it's not like it's a chore. They're all very pleasant tunes, but the features are a bit boring in the first third.
Right. Even though I did appreciate Jay-Z's feature.
Did you? I don't know.
I liked it. I like whenever Jay-Z has a feature, I tend to enjoy it usually.
It was okay.
Monster is an exception, but yeah, Jay-Z features usually I tend to enjoy.
So you lead up to Heaven and Hell into Donda. Donda, the title track, I feel like, despite my criticism of this record being a bit too long, probably should have been expanded a little bit.
Yes.
That was a couple minutes and it's by in a flash.
I mean, it had his mother's voice in it, which I thought was a beautiful, beautiful tribute.
That was moving, man. That was a really, that was a moving track. And maybe its brevity is part of the concept.
Right.
Because she's gone. And that's kind of the idea of the record, right? And it's she's there for a flash and then she's gone. You got to, like so many other people, he's experienced loss that, man, I wish I'd done this and said this and everything else to my loved ones, and now they're gone. So I appreciate that. If that was his intent, that definitely came across to me. But then you got, I mean, Keep My Spirit Alive, Jesus Lord, New Again. These are great tracks.
Yeah.
I feel like Tell the Vision with, what's his name? Pop Smoke, I think.
Yep.
Is the feature on that. That one I thought was like a little couple minutes that just went nowhere and did nothing. I feel like that one could have been cut entirely, and it would not have suffered at all because it's bookended on either side by like three or four of the best tracks on the whole record.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's interesting. Like, so Jesus Lord. I remember you and I looked at each other about halfway through that song. And whose feature was it? Jadakiss, maybe. I'll look it up, but I think it might have been the. Let me see. Was it the Jadakiss feature the first time around, the first iteration of that song? I'd have to see. Nope, it was either it was Jay Electronica and Swiss Beats who were the other guys on that track. So I was like, man, this is a great feature. This is a great song. And I'm like, from there on in, I was into it. But
Yeah.
but is it okay for an artist to take a great song and then just tack the song in its entirety again on the end of the record?
Look, if it's as good as Jesus is Lord or Jesus Lord Part 2, then I would say so. I
Yeah.
would say yes. It is hard to do. And I think if most artists tried that, they would fail
Yeah.
horribly. But Kanye West did it beautifully. It's a beautiful tribute to his mother. It's a beautiful tribute to prison reform, something he is very
It's quite
clearly
political.
passionate about.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate all of this. There's the Lauryn Hill feature in Believe What I Say, which I
Yeah.
loved. Which I love that the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It's one
He
of
uses
my
her a
favorite
lot.
records ever. He does.
Yeah.
I love the doo-wop, that thing, sample on it. I really enjoy that. Like the tribute of his mother, the things that he cared about. It felt like this record mattered to him,
Yeah.
and that's what I take away. This is something that he said, I'm not looking for to get upset about the price of fame, which a lot of his records deal with.
True.
He's not looking to say, I'm a college dropout and look how successful I am, like a lot of his early records do. He's saying, these are the things that I care about. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'm at a point in my career where I don't really give a shit anymore. If you
Yeah.
don't like it, that's your fucking problem.
I will also ask though, you know how like before we listened to this, obviously I'd never heard it before. That's
Right.
absolutely true. But I did see that promotional picture of him and DaBaby and Marilyn Manson.
Mhm.
Why was he with Marilyn Manson?
I don't know. And I read some of the on the Wikipedia, the critical reviews. People are like, "Oh, nice tribute to your mother with Marilyn Manson, somebody who was terrible to women." It's like, if you're going to make a political statement out of this and make that the review of your record, the political statement of who Marilyn Manson is, and give
Yeah.
it 0 stars for that reason, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
You listen to the music in front of you, you take it, and you go, "This is what it makes me feel. This is what's being conveyed. How well is it being conveyed?"
It was an extremely emotional record.
It was.
There
It
was
felt
not.
very personal.
And that last, I know he caught some flack because DaBaby said some homophobic stuff or whatever it was.
But that's not my problem. Like that's the baby's problem.
Yeah,
That's Marilyn Manson's problem. He had Chris Brown on there. Do I appreciate that he had Chris Brown on there? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But can I look past that to review a record by Kanye West? Absolutely, because it's a Kanye West record. It's
Yeah.
a Kanye West project.
He-
And that's how you should look at it, as an objective, we're not critics, music enthusiast.
Thank
Mark
you.
that down. Put that on a t-shirt.
This video will not be titled review because that's pretty much the most unhelpful thing in the world to just review things.
We're not critics.
It doesn't do
We're
anything for anybody.
enthusiasts. And then again, some of these so-called fucking critics are clearly not critics if their takeaways are, look at how terrible the people in the features are. What a horrible thing that is. That's not being a critic.
Yeah.
That's throwing your own political message into the fire and trying to make it about yourself. This is a record about Kanye West, and you should enjoy the fact that Kanye West is trying to convey himself as a human being, because for the majority of his career, for the majority of his adult life, he's been a media figurehead. He's been a media magnate for controversy. Look at him as a human being for this. Go ahead.
The other thing that I thought, like, it's interesting because I would only hopefully that's not coming through too loudly. Louisville's actually being carpet bombed as
Apparently,
we speak. Apparently we're at war, so hope we win. But for now we'll finish.
Rah rah.
But for now we'll finish this video. only in light of what I know to be the facts of the rollout of this record with the stadium listening parties,
which
and
was funny as hell.
yeah, and at first I thought, that's
He dressed up like what, a Power Ranger or
that's
something
kind of
during the entire
ridiculous.
thing. Yes, but it's Kanye.
But here's the thing: while I was listening to this, I was like, you know what? That would probably actually be a really enjoyable experience. Listening to this in a stadium with like 10,000 other people,
It's
however
very
many.
relaxing.
I was like, this would actually be a pretty interesting experience because the way he tacks on the greatest hits of his own record again at the end with all these part twos,
Right.
almost feels like it's designed to be an experience that you attend, in some
Right.
way. And if I agree with you. I think we probably agree that Jesus Lord together is the best couple tracks.
Yes.
But then Jesus Lord Part 2 with, I think it's I could be just putting my foot in my mouth here, but I think it's Jadakiss and then Styles P and then somebody else. I don't know who the third guy was. The features on that, I'm like, those are all excellent, man. Those are great verses those guys laid down. That was
great.
really, really cool. The way the gospel instrumentation creeps into it, both with the sung high harmonies, and that's another thing. Kanye's singing actually is pretty good on this.
Yeah.
Where he sings, it's probably the best that he's done since 808s and Heartbreak.
I mean, it feels like an 808s and Jesus is King and Jesus record. Like, it sounds like all of those put together.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think it's as good as 808s, but it feels like it's in the same ilk. It's in the same, ballpark as an 808s. I would definitely consider this to be his sixth best record behind 808s. And I don't think I won't debate that. I feel like it's a very clean number 6 in his entire discography.
Okay.
And that is perfectly fine because the top 5 are so excellent that for this to even be number 6 says this is a record absolutely worth listening to.
Now, while we were listening to it, you mentioned, do I prefer this or do I prefer Ye? Because I'm a Ye apologist.
You are a Ye apologist.
I feel like but it's so hard for me to compare the records because this is like an hour and a half of like an hour and a half plus.
Right.
You like, what, 2 hours, whatever, 110 minutes, I forget what it is, but it's like, this is such a deep, long, thoughtful, emotional record. How do you compare it with like the quick hit of Kanye and like it's like snorting a line of cocaine versus like reading a 500-page novel.
Right.
It's like, how do you compare Ye and this record quality wise? I have no idea. I love them both. I think this is a really good record, even though I will say, in all honesty, it could have used a pretty decent trim.
It could have, but at the same time, I sit there and I listen to a lot of the songs in this record. There's not really one I listen to and I go, oh, this is terrible. This should have been removed. I go, yeah, is it bloated? Is there a lot to it? Like a little bit too much to it? Sure. But I like the majority of it as a cohesive piece. As one piece, I enjoy it. Again, I don't think you're going to get a lot of single mileage out of it. It's not a single record.
He doesn't really write hits anymore, does he?
Do I want Kanye to write another Flashing Lights or
Stronger?
Exactly.
A hit, yeah.
Like, do I want him to write more songs like that or Runaway? Absolutely. But if he's going to write like an album as an album like this, then that's perfectly fine as long as the album itself sounds good. And this album sounds good. This album sounds like an album.
It absolutely does. And I was about to make that point, but I couldn't agree more. This is actually very interesting because Kanye West now, I think thoroughly, is an album's artist.
I agree.
And that's so interesting because that people have been talking for a decade almost about how like the album format is kind of obsolete.
Right.
Everybody's about singles now, just quick hit every 4 weeks, put out a single.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? One of the most popular guys in music and the most relevant figures in all of music is an album's artist.
Yeah.
Through and through. There's not a single off of this that could encapsulate the vibe of it.
No, I mean, I noticed Hurricane on Spotify is the number one track right now. It's got over 100 million views, I believe. But I listen to Hurricanes. You listen to Hurricanes. That's not a single.
It's definitely not.
That's a good song, but it's not a single.
It's definitely not indicative of the record in any way.
In my mind, the closest thing to a single is probably Off the Grid. Like, that's the only song I listened to and I went, that's a single.
And that's one of my least
favorites.
favorites.
That sounds like a single. It's got a hook. It's got all these elements to it that I go, this is what a single sounds like.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, absolutely not. None of those are singles.
Yeah. And I prefer it. I mean, this is, you and I are album listeners. We're along for the ride with the artist, and a quick 4-minute single, as much as I love some over the years, it's not really what I'm into it for. I mean,
I mean, I love singles. I will enjoy a single, no problem. Singles are great. But if you're not going to push them out and the album itself is still really, really good,
yeah.
who cares?
Oh, it's hard for me to rank these. I'd have to go back and listen to a couple of them
I mean,
again.
where would you roughly put it, though?
It's better than Jesus is King.
Well, that goes without saying,
I would say, I'm trying to remember the bottom of my list. I had Yeezus fairly low.
right?
I do like Yeezus. I think this is better than that. I think
What about Pablo?
this is better than The Life of Pablo. Definitely, that one was. It had some moments, but I remember being kind of underwhelmed by it as a whole.
What about 808s? Where'd you have 808s?
Oh, that's tough, man, because I actually think this is most similar to 808s, maybe Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and I would still put Dark Twisted Fantasy above this one.
I would too. It is my number one. So
Yeah, well, you ranked that one really high.
that's my favorite.
I would
one.
say this is better than 808s because it brings a authenticity and grandiosity, for lack of a better term, that I don't think 808s does. As much as I was pleasantly surprised by that record when I went back and revisited it for our worst to best video. But overall, man, I enjoyed this record. The only thing is when you make a record that's this long, it's intimidating for me to say that I'm going to revisit it all the time because, God, I don't have 2 hours a day.
Yeah, will I revisit it tomorrow? Probably not. Will I revisit it down the road? Probably. Yes, there are other Kanye records that I listen to that I go, I will absolutely listen. Like the Graduation trilogy,
Yeah.
Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, 808s. I will listen to those easily, very much easily over this record.
Because you could listen to all three of them.
No problem.
If I'm like, yeah, I got a couple hours, what record do I want to throw on? Three of his best or this one? I mean, it's not really fair to say that, but basically when you put out a 2 hour project, you're basically telling people that it's good enough that no, don't listen to 2 or 3 good records, listen to this one record.
Right.
At least for album listeners like us. And that's a tall order, man. It's definitely top 6. I would tend to agree with you.
I call it number 6. I think it's a very clean number 6, and I think it's a very clear number 6. I think it's number 6 is exactly where it is, and I don't think there's a debate in my mind in terms of my personal opinions.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a debate on where it stands. I think it's easily there. I said even before this, that's where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be better than Life of Pablo and Yay and Jesus is King, and I didn't expect it to be better than 808s. And it wasn't. By the way, once again, Louisville is apparently under attack. Happy Labor Day.
I guess it's the North Koreans. Somebody's nuking us.
Yes.
What is that?
I have no idea.
I thought it was a car backfiring, but it's like
I don't ask questions I don't want to know the answer to, but I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
This is probably the last one we are going to be able to do before we both get drafted for the Third World War, which apparently is beginning like 2 streets over there. So
no, but I really think this record, if you are an album listener or a Kanye West fan or a hip hop enthusiast, this is an album you absolutely need to listen to.
Well, here's a good way to sum it up. Kanye West, for people of our generation, is probably one of, if not the biggest artist of our generation.
Yes.
Is it a disappointment? No. I don't think it is.
No,
and that in and of itself is quite an achievement, really, when you think about the pressure and the public scrutiny and the position he has in the industry. To put out something that is not a disappointment. That's quite an achievement.
Now, granted, I will say for the people out there that sit there and go, or are trying to get their rocks off in 3 or 4 minutes, they're trying to just listen to the hits and get it over with. You're not going to enjoy this record.
It requires patience.
It does. It requires a lot of patience. I don't know how much people our age have that kind of patience. People that are younger than us have that kind of patience. But if you're willing to have the patience to listen to this entire record, which is hard, which is a slog, which is a bit difficult because it is 2 hours, you will be rewarded because at the very minimum, the back half of this record is so very good.
Yeah.
It's not a record for the faint of heart. It's not a record for people who go, oh, Jesus Walks is great, and Flashing Lights is great, and Power is great, but I don't listen to the entire records as a whole. You're not going to like that if you're this person. If you're a singles-only person, you're not going to like this record. But if you have patience, you will enjoy this.
And we did. I did.
I did. I gave it a 7.5, 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I really dug this record. I really enjoyed it.
He comes by it honestly, and he's an artist that I continually look forward to new output
Yes.
from because I don't feel like he's bullshitting anybody.
No.
If he ever was, he isn't anymore. You know, I mean, I don't even know that he ever did because he's achieved a level of success now that he doesn't have to put out anything.
He has fuck you money.
Yeah.
He has fuck you fame.
Yeah.
He has fuck you everything. He can put out something like this that says, these are the things that I care about,
Yeah.
and I'm going to talk about them because I care about them. And you will listen because my name is my name. And that's perfectly fine. And that's a good mentality to have because if you are Kanye West, you have the right to have that mentality.
Yeah, you've earned it, no doubt. Man, that was a good record. I enjoyed listening to that. We might make this format that we revisit. You know,
No, I love doing this. I mean, do I think is there another Kanye West record coming out soon? No.
we'll be 50 by the time the next one comes out.
Exactly.
That's right.
Look, maybe we'll do like Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. I have yet to hear that thing in its entirety, and I love Tyler. I
Hell
loved
yeah.
Igor and Flower Boy, and hell, I even loved Goblin and all the shit before then.
Let's
Cherry
do that,
Bomb.
man.
Yeah, we'll do this again definitely. I think we'll do Call Me If You Get Lost because I think it's a very good and a very relevant rap record for another one of hip hop's most mainstream guys.
Yeah.
A dude I'm a huge fan of. So I think we should revisit this down the road. Not even down the road. Relatively soon we should revisit this.
I'm game. This was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
I wish more people did this kind of thing. I mean, I'm glad that we can, but music is meant to be experienced, I think, like this.
Exactly.
You listen and you just engross yourself in a record and see what you can take away from it. And this one I enjoyed quite a bit. So,
yes.
Mike, thanks for joining me. These are always fun to do. I'm glad we can do them. And that'll do it for now. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.